I love meeting people for the first time on a stream. It's just like such a different dynamic than it feels closer to like running into you in a bar than I think on a Zoom call for some reason. So stoked to have you here, man.
Oh yeah.
We got a good show.
What up?
This is Cheryl, and we got Peace Note here. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Logging into the
think
chat.
we're good.
Oh yeah.
Well, GM folks. Oh, we got GMington. Oh, that was Z-Piece right on.
Yeah. Oh, just saying hello.
GMington from Peacington.
That's right.
So you guys buying meme coins or what?
Yes.
Yes.
I can't afford
What are we buying?
My latest purchase was Albemarle.
Is that the North Carolina town thing?
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a problematic one, but it's so disturbing that I can't let him run up without me.
What's the story there? I just saw people talking about it, and I was like, I don't even know what this is. This game is moving too fast for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like, I actually think it's just like surrealist humor where it's like the team are just members of the town of Albemarle. It's like completely mundane. It's literally just Albemarle, and people are posting goofy stuff, things about how China's buying up farmland and how they need to save the town of Albemarle, and you can save it by purchasing the coin on Radium, and like, and then they just post some little hillbilly kids, and I've seen people on the timeline being like, yo, this is a real 4D experience for knowing people from Albemarle and seeing this coin.
Do you think like the town council, like the mayor, knows about this shit coin yet?
I don't know. I hope. Yeah, it's got like it's kind of an Olive Garden NFT vibe to it. It's
but didn't they come up with like a class action lawsuit or something against Olive Garden?
Yeah, something like a cease and desist at least. Yeah. Oh, we lost your mic, Jess.
I think somebody needs to go to the next town hall meeting there and start pumping the meme coin or complaining about it. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
All right.
Like holding a piece of paper, like at the Supreme Court.
We got people hanging out. If you're hanging out with us on Twitter or on the famed LinkedIn, come on over to live.seedclub.xyz. We got a great show today. Lovely seeing the mints flowing in the channel. Top of the morning to you too, Drew. What's up? I can't, man, this font is too damn small for me. I'm getting old, Cheryl. Oh my God, it's too bad. All right, we got a big show today, so I feel like we should just kick it off, and then we'll jump in, and we got Kel XYZ.
God, that song gets me going every time.
Good morning, welcome back.
Pretty epic intro.
Episode 19 of Internet Explorers. Happy International Women's Day, Cheryl. Thank you for joining us on such an auspicious day. Excited that you're going to be announcing your perfume today. Sorry if I dropped some alpha. Episode 19, Internet Explorers. We dive into all the amazing happenings in the consumer crypto space over the last week, of which there just continues to be more and more. If you're hanging out with us on Twitter, or on LinkedIn, or I don't know where else we're streaming this live, everywhere, come on over to live.seedclub.xyz. You can mint, you can chat, you can make fun of us. I can squint at the screen to see what you're actually saying and involve you in it here. And of course, welcome to our enjoyers who are maybe hopefully joining us for our first stream here. Got a big show for us today, but kicking it off, we have Kel. Now, Kel came across my timeline because people were yelling at him in the comments of a tweet here. The real next L1 trade is the Memecoin supercycle. And for those who've been joining us for the last little while, you know that we've been pretty bullish on meme coins. Josh, who's currently traveling and not with us today, being the biggest bull of them all. And of course, we've been kind of active in the space as well. So I thought, who better to bring on than the person who's calling the meme coin supercycle, the person who's fighting the battle out there on the internet against the fat protocol thesis and replacing it with something that we've called attention networks for a while. But I think this idea of a fat attention thesis is actually super interesting. Welcome, Kel. I'm so stoked that you're able to join us today.
Yeah, thanks for the warm welcome.
Cool. And so you, maybe just to start off with a bit of background, you actually, can you go up to his profile here? Because I think the way that you describe. Oh, you had something else in there before. What did you have in there before?
I had mimetic commodity speculator. Is that the one you're talking about?
That's the one I'm talking about. That was really good.
Yeah.
Give us a bit of background. Like, who are you? What have you been doing in the space here? And then I would just really love to dive into this thesis that just seems to be gaining energy day over day.
Yeah, so I'm Kel. I worked at Masari as a research analyst for just under 3 years, like about 2.5. And over that time, I had the joy to look at a number of different theses, a number of different projects spanning a number of different verticals. So that ranges from like silly stuff to like gaming and consumer apps and friend tech and stuff like that, all the way to like fairly deep technical stuff. I did a lot of research on Solana before it, became the Solana we now know and love today, and talked about how local fee markets and Quick and all of this stuff would lead to the increased performance that we saw over the last year. And like I was doing that December 2022, January 2023, and so on. So yeah.
Amazing. And so now you just punt meme coins on the internet, and they're an exotic mimetic liquidity provider.
I wouldn't say punt. I think one of the big differences between my outlook versus at least what I observe to be most other people's outlook on meme coins is that most people, you say, oh, with that's funny, I'll put $100 or whatever, Doge or Pepe or whatever, like I'll put a small percentage of my portfolio into those. Whereas I think the difference that I tried to capture in part with this thread was, that's actually the opposite of what you should do, is that if we expect all of this attention to flow into crypto and stuff, you should actually bet like, material percentages of your portfolio, or at least that's what I'm doing on these meme coins. So
of course, not
financial advice.
Don't
Follow me. Don't follow me into the rabbit hole. Don't follow me. But yeah.
Cool. I mean, so I think we have Seed Club started 3 years ago. It came out of this sort of social token meta that I would really just call like early meme coins. And like our belief is that that these crypto networks creating new ways to create and capture value, but that a lot more of that value is going to live, and I think what I would argue even currently lives outside of just the pure technical infrastructure, and it's in this mimetic realm. And so we've been pulling on that thread in various ways for the last 3 years, and it feels like it's just reached a fever pitch right now, or at least has far more people talking about it in more specific ways. And so when I came across your thread here, I was like, oh man, like this is a distillation of the weirdness a little bit, but also I think there's sort of like an anchoring in this thesis that we've been pushing for a while. So I think again we're seeing just many more people come alongside this. I think there's a lot of institutional or like other investors, bigger money coming in. Mechanism and Enterking being a big sort of proponent of this over the last little while. So I think there's like yes, to look at meme coins as if they're just like the awful, ridiculous part of crypto and not see like this underlying value and power of attention that is sort of powering them, I think is a miss. And I think you do an excellent job. So maybe we can just walk through it. If you want to just lay out what is the basis of this thesis that you're getting across in this thread?
So I think for the last, 3, 4, 5 years, investors and builders have been looking for the means to attract people on chain. And we've seen a number of different attempts, number of different applications that have had varying degrees of success. And the basis of this thesis is that, in actuality, we don't have to reinvent the wheel on these things. We can just make coins that are about topics that people like. And then, people, turns out, they tend to buy those coins, right? And in doing so, they enter crypto, so there's a ton of people who I've talked to, only crypto they've ever touched was Doge. Only crypto they ever touched was Shiba. And so this is kind of a continuation of that trend. And the reason why I think it could be so potentially lucrative, if I'm right, is that most of the investors so far in all of these didn't treat it as some 10-year hold like some people treat Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana. And so you don't have this overhang of early investors who put in gigantic size into these bets and then are just waiting to dump them on your head. They're all super diluted. Most of the people who are early sold because they didn't think it could go as far as it could, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the setup, in my opinion, that could take a lot of these a lot higher.
I love that. I mean, I think I'm curious about the sort of the duration or that sort of time frame in which you're looking at these things in, because I think there's a meaningful difference between that 10-year hold, right? Yes, there's some negative components that come in and how they've maybe been funded and sort of the overhang, but there's also like a deep long-term belief, a sense, I think, as cycles pass and go by, that there's that gets stronger, and people will definitely treat Bitcoin as a thing that they will never want to sell, and maybe Ethereum and Solana starts to roll into that. And when you're looking at these assets, like what is the sort of time frames you have? Is this a thing that you see holding for multiple cycles, or is this something that is much more of like trading the attention that's bubbling up, and that might be more fleeting than, say, other assets?
I would definitely lean towards more fleeting compared to a Bitcoin, which in theory could be a 100-year hold, a 200-year hold. You could have held gold from the 1600s, family to family to family to family, forever. You know what I mean? And so I think with stuff like this, it's much more just like other internet phenomena in general, which tend to ebb and flow, right? Trends. It's just like fashion, right? You wouldn't necessarily bet on, this interesting, suit style or whatever. People used to wear these super baggy suits in like the 2000s. Now, like, you wouldn't be caught dead wearing those, except now it's kind of reversing, and these super tight suits. Now you have people who are like, oh, you have these all athletic material suits. That's lame. What's actually cool is this, baggy streetwear vibe, or whatever the case may be. So I think it's more similar to that.
One thing I thought was really interesting is, like, you said that almost no one is allocating memes with like a venture scale mindset, and to underwrite memes is not common knowledge metagame at scale right now. I saw this tweet from Andrew Jiang the other day that was like, every crypto hedge fund is about to start hiring these like Gen Z meme coin analysts to just gauge vibe and hit send. And I think, gauging vibe is just assessing where attention is flowing and where these just narratives are bubbling up, and going to start seeing there's such a value for like these Gen Z chronically online people that can just like understand vibes and understand the meme coin phenomenon, and
Cheryl,
not becoming like the new meta.
Do not leave
So
us.
anyway,
Okay.
hire me, hedge funds. Hello, I'm available.
Top analysts on the market.
I mean, where do you see this going over the next 3, 6, 9 months? Like, what should? I'm interested in sort of your view of the duration and impact over the next little while.
I mean, I think so long as the overall cycle continues, then I just see this gaining more and more traction. Of course, if Bitcoin goes to 30K tomorrow, I'd be heavily doubtful that any meme coin is going to continue an uptrend, right? But as crypto re-enters the zeitgeist, if you will, of people on the internet and people generally in our society, I think the first thing that's gonna have traction to most people is, oh, haha, this meme that I like, I'm gonna look at that, rather than, I'm gonna take 20 days to learn about this DeFi LP leverage, like kind of system, or whatever the case may be. So
do you have concern? Like, I think there's a lot of people that look at meme coins as zero-sum games, and kind of, I think, fairly worry about the risks, but maybe I think they're maybe touching on like the broader sort of disappointment in culture generally being so financialized, and obviously, I think for those that were here with us before we went live, there's maybe some problematic pieces that come up here that it really starts to reward a lot more of like the extreme points of view, I think, in a lot of ways. What's your sort of take on the social or cultural impact that meme coins will have?
It's a good question. I think the financializing all of these societal trends in general, it definitely has like pros and cons, because once people realize that this is a game that has material money in it, then it adds perverse incentives on top, and people try and game these things, and people try and uh, it just becomes less pure, right? And when everyone loves WIF or Doge or whatever the case may be, at least some proportion of that comes from a genuine enjoyment of these things. But similarly to sports, like a lot of people I know who grew up loving sports now love sports gambling, which is slightly different, right? They're not watching the game for the love of the sport. They're watching the game because if their 9-leg parlay hits, they're going to Vegas tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I could see a similar dynamic playing out there, and that might be dilutive to culture generally. But
It's financial
it is what it
nihilism,
is.
baby. It's on the rise.
Okay, we're gonna leave it there. We got a lot to dive into, and in fact, we've got Austin from Alongside Crypto, which is taking the exact opposite argument here, which is, I think, a good way to sort of balance out this conversation. But yeah, you all should go follow Kel.xyz on Twitter. He's also on Farcaster. Thoroughly enjoyed everything you put out there, my friend, and appreciate you jumping on with us on short notice this week.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Take care, guys.
All right.
Take care.
I mean, he called out my Zen bags there, which was just beautifully in that tweet thread. And that,
Is that why you brought him on? Just to pump your Zen bags?
I think, maybe the disclosure list on this one would be long if we're actually talking about specific tokens. My Zen trade is very simple. Every time I go buy Zen, right? So I balance it off. And currently, right now, I am up. I both got free Zen and my Zen bags are up. So this feels like
not even dollar cost averaging, just like everything you own into Zen.
No, well,
right now.
Come on, I'm not going out and buying cases of Zen, unlike some celebrity politicians here, maybe. But it's just this thing, right? It's like Zen cans or tins have loyalty points on them. I don't scan that, but when I see a coin on Bird Eye, and I'm like, oh well, that is the thing. So I'm basically hedging, and right now I pretty close to having free Zen for life, I think.
You're just de-risking, yeah.
I'm de-risking. Anyways, Austin, welcome, my friend. How are you doing?
Doing great, Jess and Cheryl. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, great to have you join us. So we kicked off this our show today, diving deep into meme coins. Cal just gave us the whole rundown on the fat attention thesis, poking holes in the fat protocol thesis, talking about the future where attention and sort of the trading on attention is kind of the way people come into crypto, and maybe more of the future than many people think. And I thought it would be just so wonderful to bring on you. And maybe balance out the conversation a little bit, and so we can sort of play on these two angles, because you're a co-founder of Alongside, which is the probably. I mean, I'm actually a customer. I've bought some of the AMKT. Is that right? Is that the ticker? Anyways, I'm going to do an awful job in introducing yourself. Why don't you introduce yourself, and then we can dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe a bit of a counterweight to the meme coin stuff, but I've come around on some level, right? I think if it's a good gateway drug to get people excited about crypto, I'm for it. But for context, appreciate the intro. We're Alongside. Our goal is basically to build better, faster, cheaper index funds. What are index funds? The general theory is that you're probably better off buying a basket of assets versus all in on Zen. That could prove wrong, in the long term, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I think one of the things, I'm particularly excited about is that, what we're doing is not necessarily, just giving you a basket of assets, on chain to give you broad-based exposure to crypto. We've actually sort of redesigned ground up, how things like an ETF can function on Ethereum, right? So, one of my favorite, quotes, somebody I actually don't know personally, but admire from afar, Alex from Nansen, had this great line where it was something effective like, putting Ethereum in an ETF is like printing websites in a newspaper, right? So we're really most excited about what do ETFs look like in a world where we have financial rails on chain. So I'll pause there, but really excited to get into more of the specifics.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We've seen, a few teams run at this last cycle, and it felt like it was a very, strong idea with maybe it's an awkward infrastructure to use. I think, everything was being done on L1s or some of the earliest L2s. I'm curious what has sort of changed to allow this opportunity to emerge, and for folks who haven't, like, it's a very, very simple value prop that you put forward. If you believe in the growth of crypto, putting some money into this is the set it and forget it way of doing it. And of course, Warren Buffett is well known for espousing the low fee and index fund market way to play the market. And I think that's proven to be very true over the last little while. But it also does feel kind of like, I think especially out of our Memecoin tokens, a lot of people seem to want to play this game from a more cultural perspective, or are really in crypto for more of some of the upside. So I'm curious what sort of changed both maybe in the technology, but also in your mind around sort of like the social construct that's getting people excited about indexing.
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think a couple of things, right? If you were to look back at previous cycles, I do think that the market itself was probably not sufficiently mature to ultimately make indexing make sense, right? So I think the predominantly focus was on which L1's going to win, and there wasn't really a fully baked out application layer just yet. There wasn't sort of the spread of L2s or really legitimately competitive L1s. And so I think it was only until a little more recently that it actually made sense. The market was actually sufficiently mature to build an index-like product. And one of the other things I think you kind of alluded to was that from a technical standpoint, it was difficult, right? You've got all these different L1s and different application layer assets maybe sitting across different L1s. They can't really talk to each other. And so that was, I think, one of the bigger challenges as well. Is we wanted to build something that's broad-based in nature, so it gives you exposure to the whole market, right? So maybe we're not all in on Ethereum as an ecosystem. Maybe we're also in on Solana as an ecosystem. How do we do that, right? And I think it was only until fairly recently that some developments took place that made that possible. So I think really now feels like the best time for it. But practically speaking, if you were to kind of back test what's it look like to just own a basket of the top 10 crypto assets, you still have done quite well. And I do think that one of the things that we're espousing is also to your point on the cultural side, very much, the psychology of it, right? So the psychology of meme coins is nuts, right? It's just amazing. I don't know if you all are familiar with B.F. Skinner, the psychologist, but there's this, amazing writer I'm a huge fan of, great financial writer, Morgan Housel, who's got this blog post that I think is incredible, that basically likens investor psychology to Skinner's variable rewards. So like a quick refresh on what that is, right? If I tap this lever once and it delivers me a gumball or whatever it might be, eventually I'm going to get bored, right? But if it's, I tap it once, maybe it gives me 3 gumballs, or I tap it once and maybe it gives me nothing. That makes me go crazy. Well, the parallel that he drew is basically that's how people treat markets, right? You buy Zine and it's up 1,000% in a day. That makes you go nuts, right? But you're probably also going to, ape into several other, meme coins that might go to zero. Right. And so
I feel seen.
Trying to espouse is you should just buy the market and do nothing, and your returns will probably be better off for that. And ultimately, I think that we want to encourage more long-termism in crypto than maybe the meme coin cycle. That all being said, like one of the funny things just watching that play out over the course of the last couple of weeks is like a product like ours, I think does help level out psychology, because for me personally, like I sometimes am seething over the meme coin rallies, especially when I'm not exposed. And one of the benefits, now that we have a product like ours is, actually I could just sit back and know that, I am getting exposure to Doge and SHIB and, sort of meme coin beta broadly. And I could just, rest and not think about it.
Yeah, I love the framing of the Do Nothing Club, which is sort of the community that you've built around this, and I think has been growing across Farcaster and Twitter, and I think it's we are big fans of compounding and long-term value, and I think it's been a core value that we've held at Seed Club from day one, and it's just pretty obvious to me that if we believe in this technology, that being here in a way that allows us to continue to be here and benefit from sort of just the time value of being in the market, or building a brand, or building community or friends, is just clearly going to be larger in the future. And so I think it feels like even just how we frame this conversation today, it feels like a wonderful balance to the I think the entertainment that people really seek from crypto. That to us, that's like I heard Noun 40 describe nouns as like a festering petri dish that no other Web 2 social network could compare to. And I feel like that's like a good way of describing crypto. And also, my God, is it dangerous to our mental health to be chronically online all the time. Cheryl manages it so well; she just holds her own all the time. But yeah, I think it's an important balancing act.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fun aspect of crypto culture, right? I mean, I don't want to knock that. I think the meme coins, are fun. The memes coming off of them are hilarious. I don't want to knock that in its entirety. And I think, one flaw of our product, if you want to call it that, is that, it sort of, encourages and propagates this idea that, crypto is about, financial returns. It's, in my opinion, really not. I think that's why one of the things that I'm most excited about with the way that we architected this, and, others in the category are architecting things, is, actually utilizing the underlying technology to develop a better product. So, one of the things I've been, really excited about the last few months, everyone's sort of woken up to ETFs. We've all learned the, guts of how ETFs work. And I do think that, you can build better ETFs on chain, right? Or the equivalent on chain. Why is that? Well, you look under the hood of most ETFs and there are about a dozen intermediaries, right? Everything from, providing a benchmark to transfer agents, which manage ledgers, to, authorized participants to create new units. All of those things ultimately, in our opinion, can be reduced down to smart contract code and subsequently be, one, better, faster, cheaper, and just generally more transparent. So actually, this thing that, you were just scrolling past was one of the very first papers that sort of outlined the idea of the index fund broadly was called The Case for an Unmanaged Investment Company. And they meant unmanaged in the sense that, we don't make discretionary decisions around particular assets. What we're trying to do is take that a level deeper. The entire operations of an index fund, we think, should just be smart contract code. And so the benchmark that underpins an index should be, an open source set of rules that everyone can see. And, all of those operational functions ultimately can get reduced down to smart contract code and subsequently be more transparent and cheaper.
I love that. I think it's a great. I think
You
we sort of
really-
go through these cycles of attention where we just kind of get lost in the froth, and then also maybe it's easy to overlook a lot of the sort of product and technical infrastructure that's being built that is really leading to like the next jumping off point. And I think this movement on chain is just very clearly a big, meaty, juicy one, and has a lot of value to it. Sorry, Peace.
No, it's okay. I just love that you really do mean do nothing. I really was like wondering. It was like it makes sense for people buying a thing to do nothing, but I was wondering like how much moving around. And I like your vision of the smart contract ETF where you really are doing nothing. You're just following a set of rules.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no, I mean, the irony of that, right? It's like one of the funny things about, just asset management broadly is just this, like, in most things in life, right? The more effort you put in, the better the outcome, right? Like, I'm going to be in better shape if I work out. The more effort you put in investing, many cases, you actually end up with worse outcomes. And this is true even of, the best hedge fund managers in the world, like all the brilliant, traders that you read about on crypto Twitter, for the most part, underperform the market. On a long enough arc, you're just better off being long crypto. Like that's where the alpha lies, not in, picking specific assets or trading in and out of things. And so I think, one of the things that we do really want to encourage, whether it's via our product or something else, is just to be patient and kind of, sit around and do nothing, because that's ultimately going to be, better for your porportfolio.
The math just checks out over time.
And the marketing checks out. It's like a great campaign on changing the psyche of most degenerates and why it's going to perform better. That's why it's great.
It's a tough mental shift, but we're working on it.
I think people are increasingly ready for it. Austin, where can people find you or find what you're building?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best with our first product, AMKT, is amkt.com or alongside.xyz, for things broadly. And then, we're available in a bunch of different wallets. Not yet available in the United States on our website.
Right.
You can, find us across a number of different wallets and exchanges. But best place to start is probably amkt.com. It's probably the cleanest.
And maybe just to leave it off, what's on the horizon? What do you guys like? What's the future look like here? I'm assuming there's more products, more things coming.
Yeah, absolutely. So back to the kind of thoughts. Well, no alpha. We're strictly market beta. With future products, we definitely do want to get into things that are more kind of thematic in nature. So you can imagine, a basket of L2s or a basket of DeFi protocols. We started with this broad-based product because we frankly think that's the simplest and actually probably most likely to have the best outcomes. But I do think that as the market matures and there becomes a high enough density of protocols in specific categories, that would make a ton of sense. So you've seen people talk about narratives around basket of AI assets, right? Things like that are very much on the horizon.
I would buy that.
All right, love to hear it.
Yeah, it's so boring. It's exciting.
That's the goal.
I like it.
Yeah, it is the most boring product in financial history, but it is the most exciting for me personally because I think it's actually the one that makes people money. And in our case, we can do it in a way that I think is structurally way better and offers zero fee products because of the way that it's architected to not necessarily pay a dozen intermediaries in between it all.
Amazing. Well, Austin,
Study
appreciate you hanging
boring
out.
products. Study on-chain ETFs. We love a boring product.
Amazing, man. Appreciate you hanging out with us today. We got a lot to jump into. Thanks for balancing out the meme coin mania with a bit of sanity here. Look forward to continued success.
Appreciate it. Jess and Cheryl, thank you so much for having me. Super fun.
Cheers.
Take care.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was going to be a good balance because I worry. I don't know, man. It's just things get crazy.
That was like the yin and the yang of crypto culture right now. I liked that a lot.
Yeah, good balance. All right. Well,
I'm like straddling the line between doing nothing and doing everything. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, I guess.
It's the way. Straddling the line between doing everything and doing nothing. The dichotomy at the center of our lives right now.
Wait, before we jump to this, I feel like we skipped over an important moment to enjoy. So
yes, I'm going back to that. Let's go back to we got to go back to meme coin. So
back to meme coins.
Yeah, so for folks that have been watching for a while, you probably have heard of this already, but earlier this week, was it Wednesday? What day was it? Wednesday.
Yeah,
Enjoy launched the very first community coin, meme coin, on the Zora network. And it has been a lot of fun. It is fun.
God, Peace, I can't believe you just turned on notifications for this account because that's the worst thing you'll ever do.
Oh yeah, baby.
Enjoy was an airdrop launched on Wednesday. It's going to active creators and collectors on the Zora network, including a couple communities that have been big supporters of it. Let me tell you, there are so many users on Zora. There's so much activity going on there. Parsing through that data is a big challenge. And I think the idea of putting these sort of tokens in the hands of people who've been active recently, I think was very much the right call. And it has gone way better than I think I had expected in very unexpected ways. The thesis here is very simple. There's a new network. Uniswap is deployed onto a Zora network for the first time, I believe, just over a week ago. And that sort of unlocked a whole new potential of ERC20s living on the Zora network. There were a few that had been created before, but none had really been traded. There was no liquidity for it. There wasn't an AMM to go do anything with. And Zora launched swap.zora.energy last week and kind of opened up the space for Enjoy to launch. It has been a buggy and awkward experience in many ways. The Uniswap v2 front end on Zora network is causing some challenges. There's no charts. You can't actually...
but there are charts now. But I think the most enjoyable thing you can do is to not have a chart. Just imagine a chart going up always. Every day is a new all-time high. Every day is the most enjoyable day of your life.
I mean, shout out Martin, who created this as a wonderful way
there are charts now. We have a few.
Nice.
Other one too on Dune, which you can see, but I prefer to not look at them.
Okay, there's so many charts. This chart rocks. This is another good one. Great visualization.
Good chart.
The market cap. But this one is just super familiar. Some good old-fashioned candlesticks on CoinGecko, baby.
Oh, wow.
I love it. And I loved putting this into Telegram in like different rooms that have like bots that like automatically produce stuff, and then immediately they're like blockchain not found.
We're so early, but it's crazy because we're starting a movement. We launched Enjoy, and then 2 days later, someone dropped Imagine, and now all these tools, like Zora wasn't built to support meme coins, swappable trading tokens, but now they're being forced to. So we're gonna get Uniswap V3, we're gonna get some LP rewards, we're gonna get all the tools, we're gonna get charts, we're gonna get block explorers very soon.
Well, I think it's been awesome to see. I mean, the memes in the Enjoy channel, you all who are dropping memes are just like absolute heroes. I mean, first of all, it's just been very enjoyable. The Enjoy as like a response to things has been also very enjoyable.
It's the easiest meme to propagate. It's just like the most unfuddable token because you just tell someone to enjoy it instead of asking questions, and it just works.
We've also just seen like people start building stuff for it. So this is Matthew Fox has built, because the front end has been so buggy and throwing up errors around liquidity. He's built a frame of which transactions have launched today. I think we'll talk about that a bit later on. And so you can just buy it in a frame that he made, which is incredible. And of course, Drew and Martin creating charts, and I think people are adding liquidity. It feels very, I don't know, very organic for a digital asset that is very much not organic. But
so Jess, what's next for Enjoy? What should people do?
So I think the inspiration of what DGen has done in on Farcaster is very strong with us. Like one of the most difficult things, I think Hel kind of touched on this before, is like, how do you actually get tokens into the hands of true fans, of people who are believers in this? And I think whenever an airdrop is done, you see just a lot of sell pressure for people who maybe don't get it, or that maybe $60 is like a meaningful amount of money for them. And but I think it's sort of like one of the more blunt tools to actually distribute tokens. And what JSIC and the DGen team sort of figured out is that actually if you allow people in your community who are actually good actors to tip, to give tokens away, that actually you start to put it in the hands of people who are actually creating value within this network. So inspired by that, sort of the next major release will be tipping on Zora. So when you mint with comment, you'll be able to tip. We're still a lot of details to figure out there, and I think some people in the community have reached out to support that, which we're super excited about. But that's sort of like the wave after this first airdrop will be about rewarding people who are creating culture on chain and having the community do that. And I think we're going to see some really interesting flywheels develop there. I don't know if it'll all be good or not, but like I think the idea already, we're seeing people create mints and get a lot of support from the Enjoy community just around minting those memes. And I think once we add those tips in, it's going to be significantly increased. And also I think we put a bunch of time into this LP rewards tool here. So there's a percentage of the supply that goes out to people who are providing liquidity. I think we're looking forward to more people joining that in the next little while. The uptake has been already really strong. It's again another way of saying, well, if you believe in this enough to take the impermanent loss, here's a way for you to support the project and to get some more exposure.
Enjoy.
Nice. That was chill. I just did it.
Yeah, that was fun to watch. It was very easy.
I think the beautiful thing about these types of tokens is like there's truly nothing underpinning it that beyond the community vibes, right? These tokens aren't being sold. There's no investors in it. There's none of that. It's really about putting these tokens to work in a way that supports sort of hopefully a flywheel of community growth and creativity on chain. And I think you're right, Cheryl. We're going to see a whole bunch of other teams come and launch stuff on Zora Network, and very excited to see that innovation continue. So I don't know, you'll catch us in the Enjoy channel for a little while. Just huge love to everybody who's just been memeing and tweeting and following along. I think there's a fun time ahead for us, and like Unisocks, let's go, let's go. But yes, we should move on because we have a whole bunch of other stuff to jump into.
Cool.
And enjoyment is just going to continue. Enjoyment will continue, regardless of whether you're a passive enjoyer, an active meme enjoyer. Enjoyment will persist.
Perpetual enjoyment. Okay, on to AI and creators. A few new fun updates this week. We got some AI on Zora. This includes built-in splits for the AI model itself and the host of the model. This comes after Jacob dropped that absolute banger of a post that talked about the convergence of AI and crypto, and how crypto is just going to unleash like a whole new world of attribution value capture for on-chain media. And this is exciting. So I haven't tried it out yet, but I'm
Have you
excited
seen any out in the wild?
I have
I
not.
guess, do we know if we're collecting an AI created image on Zora? Probably.
You'd see it in the split, which I absolutely love that they're thinking about the children of these models and their college
Yeah.
fund. So I'm very glad to actually see
As long as
some.
this goes to the
Yeah.
estate of this AI model,
Exactly.
I'm good.
No, I really do. I really like
Tell
that.
me more about how that works, Peace.
Well, I have no idea exactly how it works, other than I think that often people think about AI in this way, that it works for us, etc. But I just like the basic principle of saying, actually, no, this thing brought resources, and for that reason, we're going to dedicate resources specifically to that. And I'm sure maybe that just goes down to like funding compute or like funding the engineers who are working on it. But I just, from a general steward perspective, like that they're not creating a slave model.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because like the core protocol rewards or mint rewards and referral rewards, I think, is such a powerful primitive, and very obviously extends up into sort of like, agent or AI created works. So yeah, cool to see. And also, Zora just continues to roll out these little experiments that, I think often start off as small things, but have a hint of something bigger in the future. So yeah, it's cool to see.
Big flywheel. And then there was another one, Creator Bid, which lets you create AI creator agents. There's not a lot of details on this, but I was talking to Josh and he said that he's just been seeing a ton of companies like this come through SEO7 through applications. We're seeing a lot of these pop up, and I feel like we're on the cusp of seeing a lot of these launch and then integrate into things like Zora, which will be exciting.
Yeah, there's like I think we've said multiple times on the show that I think AI meets crypto tokens right now are like probably the leading meme coins of this cycle, at least the ones that the bigger investors are interested in. And so I think there's like a ton of money flowing into infrastructure there. And also we're seeing a lot of people start to experiment on top of that infrastructure, and interesting chat bots that are emerging. I think this autonomous worlds thing that the 1KX team has been on for a while is super interesting as it relates to games. And I think that this core idea of sort of attribution and almost the ability of these things to be out there in the world working on our behalf, I think is the more compelling piece of AI that maybe is relevant for the consumer realm. So I think we're going to see an explosion in creative uses of this over the next little while. So we'll make sure we keep people updated as we see them come across. It still feels very, very new on the consumer end.
For sure. Nice.
All
right. Now let's go from like optimism about the future of technology to like the exact opposite, as that seems to be the trend for today's episode. Financial nihilism. Travis Kling dropped this absolute ripper of a thread that actually made me pretty depressed, but it was interesting to read. Essentially, he's just highlighting all the financial struggles faced by ordinary Americans, citing like soaring living costs, diminishing upward mobility, unattainable home ownership, rising inflation, stagnant incomes, and like with all this successive series of charts, you can just see like the dreams slip out of the hands of Americans while the rich get richer. And that's a fun journey to go down if you like to do that. But essentially,
Cheryl has gone down it, so you don't have to.
So you don't have to do that. But through this, like all these Americans are now turning to high risk activities like gambling, speculative investments to try to leapfrog from their current financial positions. And yeah, eventually these charts are just showing that everyone's fucking gambling, everyone's aping into shitcoins, meme coins, GameStop, Wall Street bets, deep fucking value, AMC, Bed Bath & Beyond, parlay bets, 0 day to expiry options, anything that's just like high risk enough and like asset price distorting enough to be financially nihilistic enough to fuck the government. So this is interesting, and I also just think this is like a direct correlation with what we're seeing right now with the bull market coming back, and financial nihilism is just really hitting some product market fit, which is fun to see.
Yes, so fun, Cheryl. I feel the joy that you're coming out of this with. I mean, I think so. Travis has shared 2 threads. This is sort of the follow up to his first one that was pushing on it. And yeah, the data is the most compelling part of it here. I think he's really framing up just the growth in gambling generally in the US is like an example here. And yeah, and I think we kind of live in this world right now where it feels, the government and the financial press is sort of oscillating back and forth between numbers that make it feel like the economy is super strong, and then at the same time people feel like they're falling further and further behind. And so it feels very much like there's sort of a tale of two worlds that lives out there, and neither is like fully correct. And the uptick in crypto excitement and interest just I think is going to be very compelling to folks. I think that I struggle with this, I think in the same way that you do, where it's not an optimistic thing, right? And the outcomes here more generally are probably not great for people. Like I'm not a great meme coin trader. Like ultimately it's and I think in the same way that I'm not a good gambler, and I wouldn't really, I think maybe that's the challenging part, right? Like I think there's treating gambling as a game and kind of knowing your limit, playing within it, etc. But we know a lot of people don't do that already. But when you sort of step into more of the meme coins or the belief in crypto, and start to wrap a lot more of investing terms around it, and you start to see just like the wild rewards people get when they get lucky out of this, and you start to see like only see the upside, you don't get to see the downside so much.
Yeah, and also when you're combining that to like a generation that's just increasingly addicted to our phones and like the dopamine hits that come with big bets like this and volatile gambling, and just like being chronically online and seeing other people do this as well as having that hyper exposure, it's just a recipe for like a very nihilistic future.
So where's the optimism you see in this, or is there optimism? I mean, I think Austin did a great job of sort of landing a lot of this in, ultimately it's about the tech, and it's about the these sort of like disintermediation of incumbents, and innovation and new things. And I think that's kind of where I land in crypto generally. I just think like we've been in 20 years of like 3 business models that work on the internet that concentrate power in a way that actually lead us to more of a feudalistic future rather than maybe an open markets capitalist one where innovation can flourish. And I think that's maybe my bull case or optimistic case around here, is that inside of all this attention flowing in is capital that flows to people building new things, and hopefully things that are actually a lot more open and have the financial rewards for those builders that don't require them to turn against their app developers or their users to sort of extract money from them. But I think it gets increasingly difficult to sort of like land that as like the fluff or the excitement around meme coins grows.
I don't know.
Like
It's really
sorry about that.
It's really interesting. It's just like, I mean, Bitcoin basically was created from financial nihilism, and meme coins are like the convergence of that with jester's privilege, to where it's like
I love that you brought that in.
You gotta clip that.
Yeah, because I mean it's real, because it's like, and it has to do with basically the increasing knowledge of consumers in general, where it's like it becomes an app online, it becomes something you can research from your phone. Now you can launch a meme token on anything. There's all this just common knowledge of how you even do these things. It's like basically launching a meme coin now is like doing a well-produced YouTube video 8 years ago or something. So it's like it's just going to be crazy to see how people continue to navigate these spaces to create opportunity for themselves. But financial nihilism makes it sound really bleak, but I do think that there's like the same thing, I guess, that I like about all these stupid jokes. It's like why GameStop was just so shockingly hilarious, that a man with a red headband and kitty shirt could inspire the nation. It's like, it's not nihilistic at all. It's beautiful.
That's the optimism I was looking for.
Yeah. On that note, that's a good way to end this.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I think that's true. I think the idea of launching meme coins being like launching a well-produced YouTube video 8 years ago, I think is a really interesting thought.
Something there. So
there's something there. Yeah.
Travis Kling, thank you for your hard work.
Thank you, Travis.
Travis is coming out of like being really down bad around FTX and all this sort of stuff. So I feel like he like can and is on an upswing. Like there's a redemption arc coming out of this thing. So I think there's like a lived experience here that makes that land a little bit harder.
I mean, just based on the GIF he chose for the first tweet in that thread, I feel like he's in for a redemption arc.
Sorry, what did you just say?
Based on the image, we go back.
No, you said GIF. You said GIF. I didn't realize we had a GIFer on
Don't do me
stream.
like that.
Well, I mean, let's get it right here.
Not on International Women's Day.
Yeah.
Guys, how could you do this to me on the
Okay, today I'm a
holiest of
GIFer.
days?
Today I'm a GIFer. I'm happy to move
How
on.
could you do this
Happy
to me
to
on the
move
holiest of women's days?
Yes, but we need to move through these
That's
topics.
not
so
even
we're
a GIF. I hate it. It's an image.
Well, this is
okay. It's a meme.
we'll hash this out in the next episode. We want to make sure that it's GIF for today, and we want to make sure we have enough time to get to your perfume launch here. So
yeah, well, okay. Okay, narratives and attention. We got some great hot takes from Ali Zach from Masari. She went into long-winded, multiple graphs and data, lots of data about how the key ingredient to any narrative is attention, which in most cycles focuses on the newest techs and tokens. And then in recent months, in this most recent cycle, we've been seeing emerging sectors like AI and DeepIn and fast chains and L2s, Telegram bots, SocialFi, Web3 social. A lot of them are capturing mainstream attention and have been the leading narrative so far. And the question is, how do you find the winners? And the first sign of a narrative forming is an asset breaking out that you can't really bundle in with the pre-existing narrative. So a lot of these assets that follow narrative show a lot of like low RPI volatility in the beginning phases, while the ones that aren't following the narratives, the ones that are like diverging from the leading narratives, have a ton of volatility and move independently of the markets, which I thought was a really interesting takeaway. So you can see that with a lot of things, like she references Solana, but this moves into like a lot of the fast chain narratives as well, and meme coins.
Sorry, out here just dumping knowledge bombs and graphs. I love it. Make sure we have these links in the roundup so people can go deep.
Nice.
Awesome.
And now Jess is going to explain blob space without making me cry.
Oh, I was supposed to research this better so I could talk smartly about it. I'm not going to be the person who's going to be able to describe blob space to you beyond the most basic terms, which is cheaper. I think we're like 6 days out. I think Base came out with a thread yesterday saying that they're going to be ready to roll out the update right away. My basic understanding of it is that the biggest cost in running an L2 right now is writing data to the L1 or to the data availability provider, which is most often Ethereum, and that blob space is allowing for the cost there to be decreased significantly. They do make a bunch of changes that kind of enable that to happen, which I am not smart enough to talk deeply on. There's a bunch of good threads out there, and it's definitely, I think, if you're sort of looking to the future and thinking about how L2s evolve and how we continue to see price decreases in the actual cost of gas, which is, I think, absolutely essential to consumer adoption. What most people are excited about here is seeing gas costs go down so low that the apps can actually just pay for transaction fees, and so that consumers themselves won't have to actually have crypto to start initiating transactions for maybe forever, or at least for the beginning. I think there's some debate around how much cheaper things will be and for how sustained that will be, but it seems as if people are pretty bullish. There was a prediction market up that was sort of, I think, making some bets, and it looked like a pretty meaningful decrease in cost around it. So, I think anytime we see, I was bridging from L1 into an L2, and I was just reminding that like $80, $100 transaction fees were very much the reality of how I was engaging in crypto and like through the last cycle. And today it was just absolutely shocking and offensive for me to go do that. And I was just like, oh wow, like this cycle is going to be very different because of how much friction and cost has been reduced. And blob space is a tool or an update that's going to hopefully push that a little bit further. So if you're a developer, you're in here, you obviously know about this. If you're just somebody who's like us trying to navigate the wider world, I think dank sharding is the best word ever. And I love that we continue to come up with wonderful things.
I love dank sharding. There's also another tweet in their piece that maybe you want to roll through. Choosing where to build as a dev.
I'm sorry. I just want to stay on this until I understand. I'm like, I don't understand where the blob goes. It doesn't go to the. I really want to get it, but another time. Okay, we'll go. We'll go. We'll go to Dev and send it. I just had such a fun time talking to a friend of mine about L3s because Conduit announced they're supporting L3s for apps, and that was pretty interesting. And here, like, understanding that and data availability.
You know what we should do, Peace?
Excited about L3s? I couldn't even believe it. I was like, this is nonsense. I want in.
Let's get somebody on if you're listening and you can come speak to what the heck an L3 is and why blobs matter, and we can go a lot deeper on sort of scaling in Ethereum. We'd love reach out. We'd love to have you on for the next episodes. The last thing I want to do is try to play smart here and do it poorly. And so
if you can explain L3s without making any of us cry, come on.
Please.
Without making Cheryl cry. That'll be the metric. She's the strongest of us all.
I'll weep with joy.
Yeah.
I'll weep with joy if I can understand this.
All right, let's jump forward.
Farcaster supporting transactions.
Oh, yeah.
We've been talking about this for a little while. It's live today.
We did one on stream. I bought Enjoy. It felt good.
You did one earlier. Yes, you did. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say here other than you should be on Farcaster messing around with transactions. You know, the team's done a wonderful job, I think, of sort of building alongside the community and of developers, and have been super open about how they're approaching it. And I think it took a little bit longer than they were expecting, but it looks like they put the time in to get it right. And, you know, frames, I think for many people early on, it just kind of looked like, you know, okay, you're returning an image and like how powerful is that? But now you're, you know, able to build something that's much closer to an app, you know, or an app-like experience inside of a frame, and can actually engage in on-chain actions outside of the Warp sort of ecosystem or the integration they did with Zora previously. So my expectation is today, if you're on Launchcaster or if you're in the Frames channel, you're just going to see a whole bunch of people who've been building things at early experiments, and it should probably give you a bunch of ideas on how you can, I mean, it's just such a powerful go-to-market tool. People are there, they like to click buttons. You know, removing all these other steps to be able to bring in more functionality right within that app is like the bull case for Web3 social. And I think it's gonna be a big day. And I just realized that's Jim Cramer by Joy Frame. Yeah, it's awesome.
I love this show just because, like, if you were to watch the past 8 to 10 episodes, you would just see the entire evolution of Frames up until today, and it has moved so incredibly fast. I can't even imagine where we're going to be in 2 months.
Valhalla.
That's what I like to hear.
We got some fun stuff this week with our friends at Boys Club.
True.
Oh, and you're repping the hat.
We're going to brand new. Get in, babes. We're going to brand new.
Brand new. Yeah, the Boys Club team. I mean, wow, what those the absolute beast. I was on a call with. So it's a conference alongside South by Southwest in Austin. Next week, we're going to be doing a panel there. We're really proud sponsors of the event. The production value, they are powerhouses. This is going to be just an incredible event, and we've made a bunch of fun stuff. So if you're coming to join there, you get to see some of the pieces. You get to feel and touch some of the pieces work. We have a zine that's going to be dropping there. Pieces look absolutely incredible, and they have a very fun printing air on them that it just makes it even better, that people will get to see when they get to pick one up in person. So yeah, I guess Cheryl, you and myself, myself, and Peace will be there next week.
Yeah, we'll all be there with Peace, our favorite anon. If you know, you know. But we're going to be dropping some beautiful new. I don't know what we're calling it yet, but it's a brand new production, and we're going to mint it. So it'll be available on the day of the event, which is March 12th. And we'll be giving them away in physicals. So if you're there, DM me, DM Peace, DM Jess. Let's meet up. Let's hang out. And yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, so we're doing a panel called "What the Fuck is Consumer Crypto" with Jessica from Instars, Vabu from Drip. I always mess up.
Now it's you.
Drip, and some folks from Zora as well. So I'm excited to get into that. All right, we have time for one lightning round. What are we gonna do?
Ooh, let's give it to Peace. Peace is privilege.
Oh, we got to get our boy on here. I love him.
Oh yes,
I love him too. Oh, our boy Ray.
Fuck yeah.
Like, this is just one of the most beautiful, beautiful photos I've ever seen.
I saw this going around. What's the context on this, or why are people loving it so much?
He's just enjoying a Taylor Swift concert, the Eras tour
It's
in
like
Singapore.
so much that he's ready to vote her into the highest office our great nation has to offer. And yeah, what can I say but higher? This is the bull case. This is exactly what we're talking about. And he went on, I guess, later on to say, like, I was half kidding, half joking or something. And that's
No,
just,
he wasn't. He was
yeah,
serious.
You
exactly.
don't put a photo like that out if you're half joking.
Damn,
That's
straight.
passion, baby.
Like,
Yeah, he's speaking
like,
from the heart.
this is soulful.
Honestly, Taylor Swift, I think, would be a stronger candidate than either of the candidates y'all have down.
Imagine Taylor Swift with VP Ray Dalio.
I see what he's up to here. I see he's laying some political groundwork, or the groundwork.
This is the conspiracy theory we need.
Yeah,
oh, I love it.
Yep.
Do we have one more? I feel like we can maybe jump into one more.
Yeah, we got some more. Frentech.
Oh yeah. I mean, we just keep hearing bits and pieces and bits and pieces without any details. But I think a lot of people have been fading Frentech for the last little while. It's, we've talked about this quite a bit. I think you start to see these apps that maybe feel more ephemeral in the moment. They kind of have they sort of exist for a while, and maybe Frentech's a great example of something that captured a whole lot of attention, but it was maybe like the third thing that the team launched, and they've been working on. Is it V2? Is it V3? I guess it's Frentech V2, teasing a whole bunch of stuff. I'm getting all sorts of DMs about one of their tweets about how they're convinced their VCs to do something that's super cryptic, and I don't really know. I know nothing about. But from people who do know, they're pretty excited about it, and we've seen the secondary prices of points on whale market. It's not the right name, but something like that, just like pop off over the last little while. Don't mid-curve on-chain points. There we go. That is a great place to leave it, because I think there's a lot of. I've been in some battles around this, and I think that's a great take. Do not mid-curve on-chain points.
I'm bullish Combine and Dimas, that's for sure.
I don't know the difference between them.
I feel like they just kind of disappeared for a sec just to work on these bunny characters and to come back with them really strong. But it's all I'm seeing now is just this bunnies at the NASDAQ bell.
Well, I mean, people are there's this whole debate around cats versus dogs, and I think Frentech just introducing bunnies is like a 4D chess move, especially armed
just so
bunnies.
Energizer coded, which I appreciate, but. Yep. I don't know, Jess. I know it's a hot take, but I've been talking with Winnie.eth a lot, and I don't like the hyper financialized social apps, and I just have a struggle. I struggle with them. So
me too, man. I think there's something I was going to say so many of them I think just feel like the closer it feels like you're trading a share of a human being or a share of a community. Like the more sort of blatant that is, the more awkward it feels. And I think what a lot of these meme coins are getting right is it just feels like it's very detached from the human side of things. And so I'd call it like a social experience. Like buying Zine has been a wonderful social experience for me, just to see people talk about it and the number go up. But I'm not the most stoked on wasn't the most stoked on buying keys in Frentech. The idea of launching a social token or meme coin about myself is just the last thing I'd ever want to go do. It's a very difficult sort of balance to make. And I think it's all about the social context that gets created. And I think if somebody does that really well, there's probably a big opportunity to do it. But I don't think we've seen anybody do it really well to date. And I'm with you there. And at the same time, I think whatever Racer and these guys come out with is probably going to be pretty interesting and worth watching.
True.
All right, we're over time. Episode 19 of Internet Explorers. We had a whole lot of new people join us this week. Absolutely love that you've come out with us today. Some great guests. We were back and forth on the yin and the yang of pure speculation and maybe a little bit more sanity. I feel like that represents my mental state these days. Shout out to all the enjoyers who've joined the stream for the first time. Look forward to seeing you in the channel. look forward to seeing all of you who are going to be in Austin for South by Southwest next week. And happy International Women's Day. I really appreciate that you could come on stream today, Cheryl, and for this special day, represent your entire gender.
Thanks. It's the least I can do for my girls today.
So bad. Oh my God. We have anything else we need to tell people about? Oh, yeah. I mean, we're getting really close to. We're getting really close to announcing SEO7, so stay tuned for that. Y'all, there is the talent that is in this space right now, the quality of human beings, the big swings people are taking has been an incredibly difficult set of decisions for us to go make. And just feel very, very privileged to have the opportunity to work with the folks that are coming through the C Club ecosystem right now. It's a bad day to be short or taking the under on the future of consumer crypto. I think that'll be obvious very soon. So thank you to everybody who's applied and all the conversations we've had, and we're working diligently to get a decision so we can keep you all up to date. So stay tuned for that early next week.
Nice.
All right, y'all. Appreciate you. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe out there, and it's going to be a big week.
Peace, love, and memes. Save the turtles.
Yo, they said that Moonbirds wasn't acquired. They said Coolcast would stay independent. They said PowerPoint wasn't a buy at $5. They said Gigon would get a $20,000 airdrop from Wormhole. They said Daniel Allegre